Okay guys, so as you can see, these are the looms that I've now just made. So the shorter one there, that's going to go into the scuttle panel of the car. So the lights, they're going to go, so underneath it's going to go over the wheel arch, and then the join of the light, there should be enough material there to go up towards the scuttle panel. I think one's going to sit on the radiator somewhere, and the other one's going to sit on the crash bar underneath. So one's going to be facing down from the crash bar, which you shouldn't see that. It should all be like hidden, because it has to be by law. You can have as much light underneath as you like, as long as you can't see the actual light themselves. So that's what's going to happen. So then it's going to go through the driver's side, it's going to come up, and then this is going to go from the driver's side. So the short one there, it's going to attach from the driver's side, it's going to come along the scuttle panel, and then it's going to join the other side of the light. And then that's going to be soldered together, and then it's going to be put into a connector. Then the connector is going to be kind of wrapped up and waterproofed and heat proofed and all that kind of stuff, right? There's not a lot of power being generated, so I'm not worried about that. It's just because it's in the engine bay, that's why I need to kind of protect it. Then the longer one there is then going to join onto those connections. That's going to then run in through the firewall of a car, and then it's going to go into come out somewhere behind the glove compartment, and then it's going to join onto this bit, and then once it's joined onto there, I can then work out the length of the cable exactly. It's always important that when you are putting cables in, making looms, everything else, always give you plenty that you can make shorter. I mean, you can kind of extend it, but you don't want loads of joins and everything else that looks rubbish. So just give yourself plenty of material to work with. It didn't take really long. Kind of like, so all I did, right, to make these looms, I did it in here this time. Last time I did it in the kitchen because it was just a bit more room. Had it kind of everything everywhere. So you kind of need brayer scissors. This is your loom tape. You need a drill. And also you need a bit of insulation tape, and then like basically what I did, so this is what we do at home. I'm sure they've got different machines and everything else to do it in the proper shops and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, this is when you're doing it yourself. So what you do is you sort your wires out kind of like into the kind of order that you want them to come out in. All right, so as you can see kind of here, like black and red next to each other, green and white next to each other. They look braided and not, these aren't, don't think they're braided or brazed. So I suppose they're copper, but maybe it could be steel wire. I don't see why they would be, but they're not going to be carrying like heavy voltage anyway. So basically, I mean, when that gets attached to that runs into the car. The cable I've got for that is quite long anyway, so you don't kind of know how it's all going to attach. That's got to go through the firewall, so you've got at least maybe that much. You've got at least maybe that's going to be outside the car into the engine bay, maybe a little less, and then that's going to be pulled through. Then whatever's on this end, like I can then just like cut that down to whatever length I need it. Join these two up. Still got to braze these wires. I still don't have a soldering iron. But I will. I'll either get one or I'll borrow one of my friends, and then then basically just solder them up. There are connectors that you can use, like the shrink connectors with the solder in them. I was going to buy a load of those, but then I don't know. What you could do might be kind of cheaper is to buy a load of sort of chock blocks, the small ones, and then just sort of join them up into them, wrap them up in a bit of insulation tape, and then go over that with the loom tape, which this is heat resistant and that as well. Yeah, so I might do that. I think that's the cheapest way of doing it. As far as the connector, I don't know if I would want. I don't know if I don't know. I want a good connection between them. It's easy enough to then just like cut off the connectors, resolder some more on. It's not a big deal to do that. You just use slightly longer. You just make slightly longer looms to go from the actual product itself to extend them. There's only so many times you can do that, and then you have to replace a lot anyway. So, yeah, I mean, or I use the chop blocks, because then I've got access, and then it's easy enough to undo everything and all of that. I might do that. I think I might do that. I think that's the way I'm kind of heading with it. Otherwise, I've got to buy a load of connectors. I'm probably not going to use that often. I might do it at some point anyway. I might just get them at some point, and it will look kind of tidy, and then you just wrap everything up if you want a permanent connection. Now, I don't really have any intention of selling a car at the moment. It wouldn't be that bad a thing to then go ahead and do it with the solder connectors. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I probably, I probably spend the money on it anyway. But then, I think within that, I think within that, I definitely think within that, it'll be a tidy job, it'll be a neat job, and it'll be a safe job as well. There's not like a lot of things I'm worried about this. It's a 12-volt system. I'm not worried about it catching fire. I'm not worried about any of that. The worst of the worst is that the lights won't work. They'll fail at some point. I don't think that's going to be because of the connections or anything else like that. There's plenty enough. There's plenty enough current from what I want to do to take it from and everything else like that. But I do need that fuse box to wire everything into and to put on the switches and everything else like that. So that's another point. But that's it. It's easy enough to do. So basically, what you do is you get the wires, you put them kind of where you want. You put them onto something like a door handle, or something that's not going to move. You get a fixed point. You tape them up. You tape the ends up. Okay. And then once you take the ends up, then you attach that to like a handle or something like that. You then, once you've got the length and you've sorted them out in the order that you want them to go in, you then tape the other end up and you put that end into your drill. Okay, you've got to be a bit careful. You just want it tight enough to grip it. You don't want to damage the wire. But then you start to turn the drill and basically turns the wires around, and then you get a nice. You start getting a loom together, and then once that's all done, you don't want it too tight. You want it tight enough that when you wrap it, you can then push it through things and it will be sturdy enough. So yeah, it gives a bit of strength to it. But then after that, you just put the loom tape around it all the way. Leave a little bit off the ends, obviously, because I'm going to attach that. I've also got to strip the ends and stuff to do that with it. But then that's how you make looms, and then you can extend the wires. And as long as I mean, I could have used any colour. I could have used kind of like any one of those colours on there. Basically, it doesn't really matter as long as you know that colour wire goes to that colour wire, and you attach it. There's nothing to say, there's absolutely nothing to say that you have to have everything matching. I like everything matching because it makes it simpler. I could have bought this kind of stuff. It's just like, how much then do you buy? Do I need to buy it? Can I make it? I've already got some stuff that I can do. I can make a loom and all that kind of thing. And it's all about sort of like, where can I save money? What can I do? What can I make? And yeah, it's yet another thing that you can do, and you can kind of say, yeah, that's all been made, that's all been attached, that's all been wired in properly. I've gone out of my way to do all of that. And so I know for myself, that it's done. It's like, it's for me personally to say that's a good job. I know what a good job is. I know, I can reach a standard that I'm happy with. And then I can kind of like, I can have the confidence in the gear. So it doesn't matter if it's like doing these wiring looms. It doesn't matter if it's doing mechanics on a car. It doesn't matter if it's installing coilovers. It doesn't matter if it's installing new brakes, new brake pads. It doesn't matter as long you do it well, and there's obviously instruction as well to take. I can do what I do and that without taking instruction, and I need something to follow. And there are service manuals that you can get as well. Haynes, brilliant. Really think I should invest in those. We'll do it at some point. But it's, for each car that you get, there's a Haynes manual. And that Haynes manual basically tells you everything from every nut and bolt to every wiring loom, to all the systems, how it's all connected, how it's all plugged, what does what. Then if there's any other systems that you need to put in, you should be able to get adapters and everything else like that for it. But also all the torque specs, everything. It literally goes through everything. There's stuff in your manual, your car manual, that you have that will give you kind of like oil capacities, fuel capacities, all that kind of stuff. But the Haynes manual goes into more of a depth, like, because your manual will expect you to take your car in somewhere to be serviced. If you have to do any work on a car, the tools are generally easy enough to get. Not even that, you don't have to have fantastic money to kind of start building up socket sets and stuff like that. Even like torque wrenches and all that kind of thing. It's not fantastic money, and you don't have to get everything all at once. But if you kind of build it up, and you look at what you need, and you can kind of build that up, you then get to a point where you've got all the tools that you need to do the job. Is then just like, okay, torque specs. Why are things torqued a certain way? Because it needs to be torqued to a certain way, so you don't over tighten, you don't under tighten. Different effects, both of those things affect parts of the engine in certain ways. So you don't want to, you want to follow kind of those engineering guides. Some people generally don't with the torque, so just do everything up really tight. You can get away with that. But I think if it's all torque, so you've done everything to engineering specs, then there's nothing, you kind of covered your bases. And that, then if there are any issues with that, maybe you can go back to the manufacturer and you can raise some of those issues, and then you can kind of like say, okay, that needs to change, or this needs to change, and kind of work with the manufacturers to kind of improve things along the way. I don't know how every manufacturer will kind of receive what you're telling them, or any of that, but I do know if there are common issues, they want to resolve those issues, because they don't want like major things happening and then having to pay out lots of money, because that's what will happen. There'll be lawsuits, everything else, because you sold us this, it wasn't adequate, we want compensation. So that's kind of like where all that goes. So there are these things that are easy, even down to the small things. I think these definitely I'm happy with them. I'm happy with the way the lighting system will go. I'm happy with the fact of being able to put in a car. There's a couple of things that I haven't got yet, but I'll get them kind of in due course. They're not expensive, but all this is preparation to go in. Another thing as well is so I've literally had a message now. My bits that I'm waiting for have now turned up. They are they well they've entered the country anyway. So now they've entered the country. At least now I can kind of like wait for them. Hopefully tomorrow they'll turn up. So tomorrow's Monday. Hopefully they'll turn up tomorrow, and then I can sort of crack on with the repairs of the car, and well, I might even, all being well, if it comes tomorrow, I can have it repaired, back on the road. I think I'll take it out. I'll enjoy taking it out, but also, it kind of frees my and my friend up is going to take me somewhere, but yeah, hopefully that'll improve the way it runs and that as well. So yeah. I'm looking forward to it. All right, I'll cut it there, and I'll wait for the next instalment.